Hello, my name is Sandra Slatter. I'm the founder and president of the Heathcote Dementia Alliance. The Heathcote Dementia Alliance was founded in 2014 and became a registered not-for-profit community organisation in 2021. We're a group of executive-level volunteers supported by a team of experts, all who have given thousands of hours to actually create this most amazing model of dementia care. What we've done here is we've reimagined dementia care. The problem for those living in rural and remote areas is twofold. Lack of access to affordable care and accommodation, creating a barrier to people remaining with their loved ones, their family, friends, and providing the opportunity for them to remain living in their community. For most of us living in rural and remote areas, the only choice available to us is to move into institutionalised care in a larger town, leaving family and our loved ones. Our solution? We have addressed this gap in the system by creating a bush-inspired, compassionate community care model, providing both care and accommodation within our community.
Hello, I'm Professor Irene Blackberry from La Trobe University. I'm Director of the Georgia Center for Rural Aging and Aged Care Research. About 1/3 of older Australians live in rural and regional areas. There are well-documented challenges in delivering rural dementia care, including the lack of transport, access to care, and workforce shortages. This cluster cabin project offers innovative solutions and new models of care for older people living with dementia in rural communities, in particular helping people to age in place. The buy-in from the whole of rural community is apparent in this project for them to come together and address some of these challenges. While many dementia research focuses on biomedical cure, research on the cluster cabins is equally important. The socio-ecological framework will provide us with evidence on how older people with dementia can continue to live independently, participate in the community, contribute, and give back to the community. As a researcher, it is important that we apply best practice evidence, generate new evidence, continue to innovate, and translate research into improving the health and well-being of older people living with dementia.
Hello, my name is Simon Drysdale and I'm a Seniors Living Care Specialist Architect and board member of the Heathcote Dementia Alliance. Today we're going to be discussing the next evolution of a previous project that we've had the privilege of presenting at LASER. That was the care cabin. Today it's the care cabin as a cluster. The Cluster Community Care Cabin is a collection of the single dwellings that we've previously presented that are put together to form a micro-community. These micro-communities are going to be existing in two places. The first one is to be installed at Mildura at the Caffey Aged Care Centre and co-located with the Generations Early Learning Centre. The second site is here in Heathcote, adjacent to the Heathcote Hospital. Both of these clustered communities will be in non-stop communication, and the non-stop communication will comprise a number of things such as remote auditing of movement, ability to determine temperature, and also the general proximity of the people living within those micro-communities. This is not an invasive idea, but one about assurance and confidence for families. Each cabin is familiar, and it's intentionally familiar because it's been informed and conceptualised from place. As part of the design process that we went through, we looked at examples from around the world. We looked at examples not just around the world internationally, but also examples of respite dwelling in Australia. What we found is the more successful ones make reference to where they're from. They don't forget where they're from, and as such, each of their care cabins makes reference to the type of buildings that you're familiar with in their local community. In this case, our care cabins are informed by the external material that we see in the shed, on the farm, in the sort of industrial nature of regional business. We're informed by the cabin sizes that are typical of the Heathcote area, the single room, fireplace, sloping shed, big windows, sunrooms and verandas. The interior of the cabins is a bespoke opportunity for us to respond to a person's decline. And each decline is different. We understand that. But on a broader level, what we've done is we've designed an interior that responds to different types of decline. In this case, we're focusing on dementia. In other instances, there'll be the opportunity for the interior to respond to other types of decline, such as glaucoma and perhaps obesity, perhaps stroke. What we have is the ability to tailor the interior to that person's condition. We understand that that decline condition can often co-present with others. To respond to the other, we want our place to be a joyful place. We want our place to be full of memories, and that's really a major driver for us, because the care cabin and the cluster is about trying to fill a gap in the continuum of care. This will enable us to provide accommodation for people as they transition from their own home into this new home, and this new home can travel with them. We know that the more interruption there is to people's definition of home, the shorter their lifespan. And part of the intention is that the experience of our care cabins is about longevity. It's about maintaining ageing in place, but it's also the longevity of being part of a family vessel. And part of that vessel is memories. So a driver for us is as much a cultural idea about communities and families as it is about the culture of buildings and typology. We want our care cabins to be an extension of an allied health idea about living as beneficial, about being beneficial to a quality of life. Quality of life, as we all know, is something that is often challenged in an institutional environment. And as such, we've gone out of our way to make a dwelling that does not look institutional. It looks reminiscent, familiar of place. And the interior, as mentioned before, has some tips and tricks, some special herbs and spices to make it respond to decline. But other than that, it's a place which is to have great acoustic qualities. It's a place that's going to have great thermal qualities, because we know that if they are not designed properly and considered appropriately, they can induce a more anxious state for someone who is experiencing cognitive decline. The home in the cabin is intentionally scaled to be proximate. It's effectively an open plan. It has an ensuite, it has a bedroom. We've tailored an area where we can install a hoist, if that need be, to help move someone from their bedroom into the ensuite. That's an option. Our kitchens are not industrial. Our kitchens are about supporting someone in the care cabin. The care cabin is an appliance for home care, if you like. It's intentionally designed so that someone can come in, assist someone who lives there. We understand that it's also a workplace, and therefore some of the considerations extend to that person providing services into the care cabin. What do we mean by that? We mean that they have a day bed, they have a lockable cupboard, they have a small workstation to take notes. In some of the configurations, there is the addition of a shower so that care worker can clean themselves, rest and have a break, because we have to acknowledge that in the home care arena, it's not just home, it's also a workplace for some people. If that's not appropriate for the package that individual's receiving as part of their care, then that room can be repurposed. It can be a room for a loved one to come and stay. It can be a place where a grandchild could come and stay with granddad, grandma. It could be other. There's 3 different versions of the outcome of our care cabins. There's the one which is the sort of, a lease model, which is then returned back into the service when it's no longer needed. There's the buy outright, and then there's the tailoring of the care cabin thereafter into a new purpose. And what we'd hope to see is that the new purpose might be something such as respite tourism. We know from our research, and we're confident in the outcomes of that, is that respite tourism is something not to be be afraid of, but actually see it as being a complementary to an experience of a community. Where can you go as a tourist and experience good respite? And we see that there's an opportunity for us and our efforts to further expand into that as a post-use economic stimulus. Our interiors are not made by robots. Our interiors are going to be made by a social enterprise which will bring money directly into the local community. What we've managed to do is securitise a good, affordable product that's made in regional Victoria, that will maintain money in regional Victoria, and where these get deployed is an opportunity for these social structures to complement the intention. We will have a group that will be designing and making to our designs the dementia interior. We'll be looking at educating those work people, those joiners, in order to understand how to do appropriate joinery design, fittings and fixtures, interior design that accommodates and promotes, enables a better quality of life for those living with dementia and those other declines conditions that I mentioned before. These will be driven from a menu system and will comprise the whole. The exterior shell of the care cabin remains consistent, and that consistency gives us affordability. Affordability in this arena is extremely important, just as the familiar is. We've come to understand that our care cabin will have a much better chance of success if it has more mainstream uptake. To that effort, it does look familiar. The materials are not strange. The materials are of place, they're robust, they're guaranteed. What we bring into the interior is good natural light, low maintenance, and an affordable product where we want to be able to give people confidence of ownership. That ownership is really important because when someone is frail, when someone is in decline, ownership on their personal space is confidence, and it often reciprocates by a more humble and a more satisfied individual, rather than one worrying about being a burden and being a burden to their family or their loved ones. So affordability here is enabling a different social experience for the community. And it also provides us to not identify haves and have-nots within what we're trying to achieve. As an alliance, the Heathcote Dementia Alliance board is very committed to the idea of equity and being equitable amongst our community. What we want to do is we want to be able to provide an option for people who have very little, right through to those who have more than enough. What we also understand by the affordability is that it means that there's a higher chance of purchasing into the idea. If it's too expensive, it will be too hard to actually on-sell, and it'll be more difficult for people to buy into conceptually. We've intentionally made a robust, low-maintenance installation. What's great about some of the technology that's available in regional Australia is how to solve the problem. And we've managed to partner with some manufacturers so that the care cabin can be relocated if needed and if by choice to another location for that family member to then receive 24/7 care. The cluster is a cluster of 8. So we're doing 2 clusters of 8 with this enterprise, and that enterprise will run for a period of time of which we will then receive the data and we will gain lessons learnt. But before that happens, we're installing a prototype in the grounds of the Heathcote Hospital so that we can showcase the idea, we can educate educate community, we can offer it as a discovery item so that we can receive commentary from community from what they perceive as being successes and also problems with the idea. Once the concept prototype is installed and we have all those lessons learnt, that all feeds back into a continuing cycle of improvement. And that innovation that we've been able to tap into in regional Victoria means that the care cabin can be relocated from your farm setting, your regional setting, into that care environment. That's the benefit about co-location. Co-location means ongoing community engagement. It means ongoing community attitudes, continuing to refresh the experience of place. It's people who work there. There's the opportunity for children to be involved, intergenerational activities. There's an opportunity to have that micro community celebrate in itself. Music nights, film nights, eating together, preparing food together, celebrating birthdays together. All these things are all about our proposition here, facilitating the ease of that to happen. Because what we don't want is people being lonely. We don't want people being lonely and isolated. So we've explained what comprises the single cabin. So what's different when they come together to form a cluster? Well, it's very much like my hand. We have a cluster of cabins that surround a community hub. They're cabins of 8. I've only got 5 fingers, unfortunately. But if you can imagine, it's a starfield kind of pattern like my hand. What we have is courtyards in between that surround a community hub in the middle. This is really great for a number of reasons. It provides an opportunity to have an interior garden. It has an opportunity to provide social spaces so that the members within the cluster cabins can come together, celebrate music, celebrate a movie show, celebrate cooking together, craft, bingo. They can make things together. There's an opportunity for intergenerational activities. We all love Lego Masters. There's an opportunity to do a bit of Lego with granddad and the grandchild within the community hub. The community hub is an intentional shared space. It has a living room that's not in your home. It has a kitchen in it that's not the kitchenette inside your cabin. So you're able to separate the private space from the shared, more public space. And that type of activity, we're hoping, and we believe it's going to happen, will very much produce a community that's comfortable in itself without feeling like you're living on the shoulders of your neighbour. each cabin is separated by a courtyard garden. So from above, it'll be like a flower. And that flower has that centre, and the centre is where the community comes together within that micro community in the cluster cabins. The scale is important. The clusters are clusters of 8. It's intentional that they reflect the small house model of 8, which we all know about, and we all know that it's been inspired by the greenhouse model in the United States.
The cluster community model provides additional consumer carer choice along the continuum of care for a person with dementia, especially in those circumstances where location and community connection are key factors in maintaining optimal quality of life. It expands the service options available to providers of home-based and residential aged care services in meeting the needs of their consumers. The cluster community adds significant value to rural aged care services. Opportunity for fee-for-service revenue through additional services such as Meals on Wheels, laundry and cleaning services contributes to revenue for aged care service amenities such as cafes, improved aged service utilisation and occupancy as occupants naturally feed into on-site residential services when acuity of care needs require support beyond the care cabin model, improving revenue and cash flow. Home care and residential care respite revenue. Aged care respite tourism opportunities and revenue provides an economy of scale for service delivery into multiple cabins.
It's my genuine hope that from today's presentation is that you can see the authentic ambition that the Heathcote Dementia Alliance has had. And the next question is, where to from here? Where to from here? Get involved. Reach out. The Heathcote Dementia Alliance has a website, and through the website you can ask for more information. We are a transparent community group. What we hope is that this dialogue with Laser continues. We've had the opportunity to present the cabin. It's underway. We've had the opportunity today to talk about the community cluster, and it's underway. Next time we speak, the prototype will be made. We'll be referring back to lessons learnt. Post-occupancy evaluations will be done, and we'll be happy to share that information. In the in-between, we're also committing to writing a manual on how to do this, and how to do this within community groups across Australia, which is another reason why you may wish to make good contact with us.
Hello, I'm Dan Douglas, CEO of Heathcote Health. Heathcote Health is a small rural health service located in Heathcote, and we offer a range of hospital, aged care, community care and primary care services. I'm also an advisor to the Heathcote Dementia Alliance, and Heathcote Health is a member of the Cluster Community Consortium. And obviously a key feature is that ability to move the care cabin, locate it, relocate it, place it either in a group setting or individually on a farm or at the back of a house, so that the person with dementia and their family are all together in the same community. And often that's the biggest thing that people miss, is their connection to local community if they have to move away. We see that very clearly in the way that our caregivers can go into the home and know where things are. They can be very effective and efficient in the way that they provide the care. All the features are there, the hoists, the sensors. There's ability for 24-hour monitoring remotely, so you always know that they're safe. Probably the most exciting thing about the Community Cluster Consortium is the ability to work with other people who share our view that there is a better level of care that can be provided. And I think we all know that we can't do this on our own. We actually need to partner, we need support from government, we need to work together and use the strengths that everyone's got to address this problem. And this is what's being done through this consortium.
So it is our belief that no one individual, government, industry or community can fix this problem on their own. The problem belongs to all of us. We need to work together to fix it.